Hello and welcome to a beautiful sunny day here in the Philippines, Cebu City, the Philippines. And out on my new used Rusi 250, and we're headed out of the downtown Cebu City area, and we're headed out towards SM. That big tall tower out there in the distance is SM Seaside, huge mall, relatively new, just a few years old. And if you keep going, you hit Talisay City, Minglanilla, all part of Cebu metropolitan area. Anyway, traffic on the left there was starting to back up real bad. I think there was a broke down truck over in one of those lanes, and when you only have two lanes and it's the start of rush hour traffic coming into town and leaving town, can create quite a bit of a backup there. The previous ride I did with this, the GoPro mount on the bike was set a little bit, pointing a little bit off to the right. So I think I have fixed that. Still maybe just a little bit off the right. I might have to adjust that again. Anyway, they're adding some new lanes. The third bridge, the Cebu-Cordova Link Expressway, was just off to the left. Couldn't see it here, but this would be an on-ramp to this road. South Road goes all the way to the south end of Cebu. Anyway, I don't go down in this area filming very often, and then I'm gonna cut back. I'm taking some city streets coming back, so I'm going to point out a few things along the way. Some of you, many of you may not have seen or been aware of before. Anyway, coming upon the big SM Seaside Mall. There's a building just off to the left going out of view. That is a new big casino, Nustar Casino. Not sure when that's going to open up. Maybe next year, I would guess. I believe they're going to have a couple hotels, a big resort area, a casino area, and not sure about the rest of it, but they will employ thousands of people, which is always good. And still, we got the big SM Seaside Mall. They're on the left. And this taxi kind of did a little surprise on me. Pass everybody and then pull over and stop in the bike lane. But anyway, that's for bicycles, but everybody uses those lanes. And there is off to the left. There's a couple things if you would go left here, not just SM Seaside. I think that's one way you can't take a left there, probably. If you take a left here at this bit of a dirt road, you go into kind of a wholesale fish market down there. I've done a video back in there. Maybe if I can find the video, I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. And I always do that. I put a link to either playlists or different videos at the end of my videos. So for those of you who don't know, I've got over 1,000 videos. I've been making them since 2015. A lot of real estate videos, condominium videos. What do they look like inside? What do they cost to rent? What do they cost to buy? And of course, we're in a unique area now with 2 years of lockdown and tens of millions of people going back to their old countries and no longer. So we have very, very high vacancy rates here still. I think just in the past week, officially, we've gone into our dry season. And so that's why we're seeing more sunny skies. Still get rain. Doesn't mean it doesn't rain, just means it doesn't rain quite as much. We still have the effects of La Nina, I believe, and that is affecting, giving us a little more than average precipitation, probably through much of the summer months, maybe much of the year. Weather changes a little bit. I think there's 4 different climate areas. They don't vary a lot, but they vary a little bit. Here in Cebu, we have a wet hot season and we have a drier hot season, basically. And what you'd call hot would be, I was talking to somebody from Florida the other day, and we both agreed Florida is generally hotter and more humid than much of the Philippines is. Of course, you can get oppressive days anywhere, even up in the upper Midwest USA, other countries around the world. So a little bit about traffic here in Cebu City. If you've been watching at all, it gets a little crazy. They share the lanes. There is very little road rage, although there is a little bit. Vehicles will get over. If there's 2 lanes, they will make 3 or 4 lanes out of it. And they generally have smaller vehicles, so that's possible. Motorbikes if there's an inch, they'll use that inch. They'll use the sidewalk sometimes, and even in Vietnam, big wide sidewalks. And well, if you're walking, you didn't dare move one way or the other until you turned around and looked, because might have motorbikes coming up both sides of you. Kind of the same thing here on the road, is that it's a little bit crazy, and you see somebody in your right-hand mirror, and you think, well, that's okay, because I'm going to move over to the left lane, and man, they'll, in that split second, they're coming around your left side. So you really don't want to be making any real fast lane changes until you're absolutely positive what's going on, and that can be difficult to do. I taught my daughter how to drive many years ago, and during her lunch break, I'd pick her up and talk to her and teach her how to drive, and after she passed her license, drove for a little while, she said, I thought that I had to see everything all the time. And that's kind of defensive driving. And in practicality, especially in traffic like this, it's difficult, and it can be quite challenging driving. So if you have high blood pressure or tend to get feelings of road rage often in your own country, maybe you don't want to drive here in the Philippines. Even once you get out of the city, and this bike is mostly to get out of the city, but it can get crazy with dogs and children and vehicles, and especially at night, vehicles without lights. Risky business, for sure. Taxis are very cheap here. It costs 100 pesos, $2 to 200 or 300 pesos, $4 or $6 to get all the way across town. Usually not more than 200 pesos. If I go from up near Ayala Mall across over to a mall across the bridges on Mactan Island, usually about 250 pesos, about $5. So leave the driving to them. Now, we don't have a lot of traffic lights, very few traffic lights, but there are lights on some of the roads. And after Super Typhoon Odette knocked a lot of electricity out, most of those are up and running again. And that guy wasn't sure where he was going. One of the few times I would come up beside a vehicle like that and share that lane. I prefer just to sit back, and people behind me don't appreciate that probably. But anyway, I try to, if I can see a light up ahead, I try to pace myself so I don't have to stop. But just like in every country, people race to the next red light, and such is life, such is the human condition, I guess. This Rusi is a 250 instead of what's most common is a 110, 115, 125, maybe a 150 occasionally. But little scooters, much smaller bikes. This is a little bit larger bike, a little bit heavier, handles a little bit differently, and I'm still getting used to it. I'm much more comfortable with it than I was the first couple times I rode. But still, it's especially riding in traffic like this, and it just happened to be kind of the start of rush hour traffic, so a lot of people in a hurry going wherever they're going. Was a bit challenging. Cebu City itself, I've lived here for 6.5 years, I guess. 3 trips here, and I've been to Vietnam, been back to the U.S. Once, and we'll probably make another trip back to the U.S. later this year when all the travel restrictions go off. But I enjoy Cebu City as I describe it as a small big city. It has a dense population. In the last 10 years, I think in the last 10 years, all the skyscrapers, the tall condominiums, office buildings and such have gone up mostly in the last 10 years. So it's seen some many changes, and it will have many more changes coming. And taking a left here will take me up to Guadalupe, the city town, which is part of the Cebu City metropolitan area. We're seeing a lot of the old jeepneys retired, the ones that were polluting a lot, so you don't see too many of the really heavily polluting vehicles. You still see a few. They're replacing a lot of those with more modern buses. There are a few electric ones, some various sizes and types, and running different routes. And there's something called the Bus Rapid Transit, BRT, that has been planned for years and years and years, way behind schedule, but that is supposed to get a relatively good start this year with various with more buses and routes, and we'll just see how that all happens. There's also they're studying the possibility of a monorail system, because where's the land to widen the roads? Not much. So they're talking about a monorail system. And 3 times I've come across people who were taking core samples into the earth, into the ground, and every time I've asked it, it's for the monorail, sir. They're taking the samples for that. So many years away for that. Anyway, we've got the Cebu-Cordova Link Expressway that should open here in a couple months, perhaps. That will help take a lot of traffic, traffic coming from the south, coming into Cebu City and into Mandaue City and north. Right now, they've got to come all the way through the city with that bridge to get over. There's 2 bridges. There's an older 2-lane bridge, and then a 4-lane bridge, and they have to go all the way into Mandaue City to cross over there. So a lot of that traffic hopefully will take that what's going to be a toll road, cross over to Cordova, Mactan, Lapu. And then we've got the outer loop that is, it's actually coming along. Got a long ways to go, but it is coming along. And so if I would have went straight, I would have went up into Guadalupe. Tall building there is a SOHO, a small office type thing. You can live there, have your office there, whatever. I've done a video there quite some time ago. They're just very quite small condominiums, basically. It's got a small mall on the bottom 2 or 3 floors, which is kind of nice. It's very close. It's I don't know if it's considered the Uptown area or not, but we're going to run into the Uptown capital, Fuente Osmena Circle, big traffic circle up here, and that has 2 Robinson's malls, Robinson's Fuente and Robinson's Cybergate, each right across opposite sides of that traffic circle. Got a couple of hospitals down there, Cebu Doctors Hospital, Chong Hospital, other hospitals very near this area up here. And you can see these motorbikes just whizzing by me. I'm not going slow, I've passed a few people. I think I passed somebody, at least one person. And up ahead, that's Robinson's, and off to the right there, you've got Crown Regency Hotel. And the circle's just crazy, the way they come on from these side streets, and they just zoom all the way over to the far lane there. And this would be called Mango Avenue or General Maxilome Avenue. And it used to be a big entertainment area just up like a block up here. But no longer. They pretty much shut down most of the bars up there. The bars are kind of scattered now. There's a bar down this street, and that's not where I'm headed presently, but there is a bar, 301 Ramos Street. That is the address. It used to be called Time Out. Some of you are familiar with that. They make a very good pulled pork sandwich. They got a pretty good menu for a number of different things. And I think it's right, right up here on the left. Right up here on the left, somewhere 301 Ramos. Okay, it's right here on the left, 301 Ramos. So if you're in town, they've got usually have a very cold beer, a good menu, got a band from some nights. Australian owner and his Filipino wife own it. Lots of busy intersections like that one right there with no lights, and people just make it work. They give way to other traffic, and it works out. A hospital up here, I think Velez Hospital on the left, Hospital Medical Center. And then up here there's a market I go to, Ramos Street Market, that I buy a lot of my fresh vegetables and such from. So using Google Maps, I think this is the route that I took, and I didn't turn my camera on initially, forgot to do that, but initially I came down in this area, and I came over here, I dropped down here, and then out here on the main highway going south. But anyway, I turned my camera on, finally, down here, got the Mactan Channel, Cebu straight out here. You've got downtown area here, you've got North Reclamation area, SM City, the big mall up there. Let's see if I can spot up in this area is Ayala Mall, a little bit higher. Anyway, get back to the trip. I turned my camera on down here. There's a big fish market down in here. I think they're remodeling. Carbone Market, the big Carbone Market, public market down in this area, I believe. And anyway, so I came down here and traffic was getting all backed up, going south as well as going back north. I was going to go out further, turn around, and head back the same direction, but I decided to cut back into town here. Now you have South Road Properties out here. You got the big casino going in out here that I mentioned, and that road will take you down into Talisay, as well as Minglanilla, Karkar, other cities, south towns. And so I went up here through Mambaling and up to the main road up here, and I cut over. And I hadn't really decided in my mind what route I was going to take, but I happened to be in the turning lane when I come up to that corner, so I said that'll work for me. And the sign said Guadalupe's up in here, so I know that area a little bit, so I wandered on up this road. And there again, when I came to this intersection up here, I wasn't absolutely sure it was the one I wanted, but I took a right, and indeed it was. It took me over here to Fuente Osmena Circle, and went around the circle to the first street, Ramos Street, and headed back down this way. 301 Ramos Bar is, I think, right in this area down here. Anyway, it says, what, 6.4 kilometers, 0.6, 1 kilometer equals 0.6 of a mile, so what is that? That's about 4 miles, if that is actually accurate. Now it seemed like further than that. So, and here, yeah, there are no stop signs. People just stick their nose out, go. You slow down. You allow people to merge, and it seems to work pretty efficiently. Anyway, I think I'm going to cut this off about here. I wandered around a little bit more, but this video is about long enough. So anyway, stay safe, stay healthy. Hope to see you all here very soon. See you next time.